Good evening. This is the Budget Committee meeting for December 29th, 2011. The town administrator is going to be on his way in, but while I'm waiting, I'll just give you a couple announcements. I just received on my desk this morning, or at the thing, the resignation letter from Erica Hayera from the Budget Committee. Unforeseen events have prevented me from committing the necessary time to the group. Thank you for the opportunity, and I apologize for any inconvenience or disruption this may cause. Our goal was to use the first half an hour of tonight to get the more detail on the CIP, the Capital Improvement Program, the balances of the capital reserve funds and trust funds after the confusion we had last time, revenue projections and status of warrant articles. So hopefully Ed will be here shortly because we need some information from him. But in the interim, I wanted to give you this memo that I wrote up last night, which outlines changes to the budget that I'm going to discuss or propose. So I figured to give you a heads up before we actually get to that point next time we meet. So we don't need to discuss it now. It's for you to take home and read on your own or whatever. But some of them I think will make sense to you, and some of them will probably generate discussion, which is fine. And then hopefully at around 7-ish, we'll move on to the school budget and have an overview with Dr. Hayes. And then we'll schedule our next meetings and to make sure we have enough time to get through the school process and the town process. Anybody have any questions or other thoughts before?
Brian, do you know for sure if Roseanne and Dana, are they coming this evening?
I haven't received any
Okay.
emails from anybody.
All right.
they were here
I'm
last
only
time.
asking because then we could push the chairs back and make a little more room. We're very cozy over here, aren't we?
Give you some more room. Just have to use different lights here.
Tell me you don't like to sit next to me. You're gonna get.
Take that very personal.
I want to put my binder back down.
Excuse me for eating food, but we're going to be here a while. So.
I'm gonna ask you. Wife doesn't cook for you anymore.
No, she's no. All right, let's see. I did. Ed did email me the CIP yesterday as a PDF, and I emailed it out today. And I apologize, I forgot to send it out yesterday. So if you didn't see that, maybe he has some copies. I don't know.
Yeah, just throw mine.
I don't know.
I gave you 2.
It's a pretty dense document, so.
It's 33 pages. Take one.
Yeah, I'll print one.
Take one. There's going to be extras. I was going to put in the council boxes.
Don't kick in yet.
I'm just passing around the revised revenues and the spreadsheet for the capital reserve. I apologize. I thought it was 6:30 and I was.
That's okay. And Ed, you should have one of these. This is the memo I passed around with changes for consideration to the budget. Oh, we need a magnifying glass for that one.
These are all the same?
I need another desk.
Is there only one sheet of this?
It's double-sided. Okay. Why don't we have a pile at the end or something, and Ed can pick them up or something when. Holy Moses.
This is Brian. That's Roseanne, that's Dana.
So, do you, let's see. All right, well, my intent of asking for this document that was sent by email was that folks could read more detail about the longer planning regime that the CIP committee used and, you know, what was expected to be purchased underneath some of these funds and how many vehicles and stuff. So if you are unwilling or unable to print it, since it's relatively large at home, we could ask Ed to make some copies and get them to us once we start the school process. Because it's going to take too long to copy them. We'll be sitting here for 15 or 20 minutes. Oh, they copy. So how many people would like Ed to print out a copy of the prior year version of the detail?
Yeah, for tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah. 2?
For when?
Hopefully by the time we leave tonight, they'll be copied.
Oh, yeah, I can make copies tonight.
Okay. So Jack and Judy, yeah. I would expect that Dana and Roseanne will want them too, so I just make 4. All right, so how about, Ed, if you want to run through this microscopically small text of capital reserve and trust fund?
Sure. What our goal was to provide you the balance that exists in the account as of November 30th of this year. And I'll just quickly run through, I'll pick a couple of them. The first one is the ambulance, the trust fund, that we have $133.41. As you recall, that's now a revolving fund, so that can be eliminated. But then if you look down, let's go down to water. The trustees' report on 11/30 of 2011 showed a balance of $537,678.47. There were several resolutions that the council had adopted for varying amounts. We have deposited the amount of the appropriation going into the capital reserve for water. It's over on the far right side, says, I have it boxed off as a 2012 appropriation. So we recently deposited $359,800, and after deducting out the costs for the various resolutions, the balance that remains in the account at this point for water is $361,042.72. So wherever it's highlighted in yellow is the current balance from the resolutions that have been adopted, and we have the dates of the resolutions there. So you can see when they were that are still outstanding that need to be completed.
The balance in the water department as of June 30th on trust funds is $1,140,000. Now, I guess that's, your thing starts at 500,000. Seems to be this 600,000 that,
I don't have my paperwork in front of me, Leo, so
The yellow, but there was $878,000 in withdrawals.
yeah, that's what I thought that's what we were gonna see.
I gave this to the folks upstairs, asked them to reconcile it and come out, so I'll check on that.
So Ed, why is the resolution from 2008 for downtown TIF redevelopment now being adjusted?
Because it hasn't been transferred. That's one of the things that we have the interim finance director. He's completing all the transfers at this point, so until that was transferred, it still shows there.
So, okay, so the money's been spent when the project was done.
Correct.
Out of the fund balance or just, which is fine. So when this money gets transferred from out of the water fund, which was from ratepayers, not from taxpayers, ratepayers, where is it going to hit the balance sheet of the town?
It'll against the downtown enhancement fund. There's the
Okay.
downtown TIF, and there's 2 different funds. Downtown TIF has all the money in it. The expenses are in the enhancement fund project. That's where they'll come from, and they're finishing up those
So,
transfers.
but isn't that going to make a positive impact on our fund balance? I mean, right now, there's a negative.
When it all
because-
shakes out, it'll all be explained, but the answer to your question should be yes, based upon what we've seen and keeping track of.
Excuse me, I thought it started at 6:30. I apologize.
Okay.
So this doesn't talk about the 878,000 that was withdrawn the past year. There's nowhere near that amount. That's what the trust fund says. There was 878,000 withdrawn. And this,
In which account, Leo?
The water fund,
Water fund?
but that was through June 30th.
yeah.
And it,
These are the resolutions that the council has adopted in 7, 11, and fiscal year 10. Those are the only resolutions that are outstanding at this point.
Well, I guess, where did the 878,000 withdrawal come from? I guess that's what I asked you way back on the CRP meetings, is that, no, where did we spend 878,000? And you had Dawn send me a couple of resolutions that came up to 200,000, but there was not.
Leo, I have no idea. If you have resolutions and they total 200,000, then they total 200,000. I don't understand. I remember you asking that question, but it was like, we never have made an expenditure of that amount out of water.
But when the trust funds say they withdrew 878,000 in that year, shouldn't there be some accounting that says what that?
I don't disagree with you. I would like to see where you saw that on the piece of paper.
It's right here on the
Yeah.
trust funds as of June 30th, 2011, that what they said they've withdrawn is they had a balance at the beginning of 1,140,000, and they withdrew 878,000.
I guess I'd have to go back and look at prior years, Leo.
Well, the trustees of the trust fund must
Have
have
some reconciliation.
something
Correct.
that comes up to the 878,000.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay. So, I thought we were also going to get water and sewer fund balances.
We're completing that to get
Oh,
that to
okay,
you.
that's still working, okay. There you go.
okay, do you want to continue explaining?
Other than that, unless there's specific questions, these are all the trust funds and the balances that exist in each of the accounts that we have. They said that there's something specific they have a question about. I'm not the chair, he is.
I'm sorry, I was looking at, go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the $27,000
Okay.
piping in Macintosh, Ash Swamp. I mean, I'm asking just to find out if I can read, because I thought that thing wasn't said to be done by the constituency.
In the water department, the piping and driveway
Piping and
improvements,
driveway, yeah,
Ash Swamp
improvement
Road?
for Ash Swamp, yeah. I
Yep.
mean, as far as I knew from what I read in regard to last year's referendums, et cetera, that wasn't a done deal. So how are we, I'm just curious, how are we spending money on it? How are we putting anything into a CIP for it?
Well, because we're going to move forward with purchasing it. At this point, we have the permit for it, so we're going to be purchasing the well. In this year's budget, there's $20,000 in the water department to pay Macintosh. So we put the well, we put the roadway in, and we ran the electrical to that spot. And, waiting for the residents when they have the warrant article to fund the completion of the testing and the installation of the treatment, then we'll be able to get that connected. It's not like we're not moving forward with that project.
I'm not so much interested in whether you're moving forward with it or not. I'm just wondering, I just thought it was a done deal. I mean, not a done deal, but it was nowhere. The people said they didn't want to go ahead with it.
63% of the folks that voted on it voted in favor of moving forward with the Macintosh well.
When was this?
It failed by 3%, a total of 25 votes, if I'm correct, to reach the two-thirds majority last year. Council is bringing that warrant article back again this year because it qualifies for some funding from the state plus a forgiveness of, I believe, it's 20%, if I'm correct.
So, which is, I think, a simpler answer for me, because I don't understand it yet. is that it's predicated on something else, that the $27,000 will be used.
The council approved a resolution to expend $27,118 to put the
Right.
roadway and the electrical into
Right.
to the well, in preparations for the future development of it.
So, Ed, just,
I don't mean to, I don't want to...
Maybe I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm not trying to extend this to any, I just want to find out, and I'll shut up. I mean, I just thought that that wasn't going to be attended to, it was voted down and that was it. The whole, well, maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're right, it was supposed to have been, check right down, it shouldn't have been.
Well, that's all I want to know. That's why I'm perplexed about, you can put
the
some
work
money
was
aside for something that was voted down by the constituents.
I think this money was spent before the vote.
I was just
This
gonna
was
say.
spent
No, no.
prior
all right, hey,
to,
everybody take a deep
prior
breath. We're not
to-
going to get worked up on this one
Uh,
issue. There's way too much work to do
the
tonight.
vote, no, remember they ran a $50,000 test down there?
Right, yeah.
And this had to be done to run that $50,000 test to get whatever stuff down there and to get access to it.
This resolution appears to have been passed in November of 2010, which would have been before May of 2011 when the vote happened. Therefore, if they're expending it from the water fund, the town council is the agent to expend. They have the authority to expend the
Right.
money without further voter approval.
They can spend out of it.
I think that's the answer. So the question I have is to explain the whole chart. The column that says total amount reimbursed. What is that actually telling us? What do they mean by reimbursed? Doesn't make sense to me.
Whatever the expenditure is, like, let's look underground, undertake groundwater testing is $64,694.
Yeah.
We had expended it, so therefore we have requested that amount of money.
So that's an actual, the trustees
The
that sent
trustees
that
to
over.
us, that's what it represents.
So that column is basically the amount that has actually been transferred from the trust fund versus the amount that was authorized to be spent.
Correct.
So that amount should never exceed the amount of the resolution.
That's correct.
Okay, makes sense. Has any of Emery and Garrett's money ever been spent out of the capital reserve funds? Or was that all spent out of the operating budget for the water?
It was happening before I got here, so
Really?
we only spent, the appropriations were all done when I came here, and they were spending money at that point in time, so.
You mean,
$300,000 for Emery and Garrett to get the.
You know, it was
that
going on
for you?
before I got here.
Wow,
Yeah, I think he's correct there.
time flies.
I was in the council when that passed, and that was 3 years ago.
Oh,
so-
really?
More than 3 years, probably.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
3
More
years.
than 3 years ago.
Thanks a lot.
Time is so fast to get out of here.
The recreation ones at the bottom of the page,
Yes.
they don't appear to have been spent? Or are they spent, just not reimbursed?
They have been, from the way I see it, the balance on the resolution is 25,000. They haven't been reimbursed at this point.
So, but we're assuming they've all been done,
Right,
because there are field lights out there.
yes.
Why does it take so long to pay them?
We've been having some discussions with the contractor, who we've called several times to come back to complete certain aspects of the project, and he hasn't done that, so we're taking the next step and going after him with the legals.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions? The rest of the back page is pretty much zeros.
Question on the one we were just talking about, the 27,000, and I apologize for coming in late, I thought it was 6:30. That was a resolution for 27,000. That's the amount of balance of resolution. Total amount reimbursed and now we have balance of resolution. Did that come out of the water fund?
Yes. No, water capital reserve. These are all capital reserves.
Okay,
Within the water fund.
okay.
Yeah, but
No.
there is a
Not
water
within the water
fund that's
fund.
different, so.
Capital reserve and water fund are two separate.
But some enterprise fund for the water department paid for this. The tax
Capital
base.
reserve fund for the water department.
Capital reserve.
Because when the budget passes with an appropriation for the water capital reserve fund, it has to go there, even if they, as Leo explained last time, even if the rest of the operational cost of the department exceeds what they expected, they still have to put the money in the capital reserve. It's no discretion. So, the water fund is the fund balance of the water department.
Because that one was $68,860 to begin with, if I have the right resolution. From Ash Swamp Road to the McIntosh Well, is that what we did with that one?
Is it the right number, 2010, 11?
Yeah, 2010, 2011-11. Yep, 2010-11-11. Piping and driveway improvements, Ash Swamp to McIntosh. This is Ash Swamp to McIntosh, and the total amount was $68,860 that was approved. There's no date on this. Why isn't there a date? The 15th of December, 2010. That's
How
when
much
this was-
again, Roseanne?
It was for $68,860. And the Water Capital Reserve Fund currently had a balance of $567,722 at the time. We're going to be saving the Water Department $81,000. And we're going to do the infrastructure costs the town was going to do it for $68,860. And that was December 2010. Was there a question if this was done after the vote of the McIntosh, of the voters that said no?
That's what was asked, yeah. But it's
So-
based on that resolution, it would be no. The voters voted in May of 2011.
They voted no in 11. Okay, all right. Very good.
So Ed, what I'm finding a little complicated is that there seems like there should be two more columns of information, one being the authorized amount per the resolution, the balance, or how much has been spent, and then someone can figure out the balance if they want to. Because we're not, it's not, like as Roseanne just pointed out, if that 2011, the one she just read is actually 68, then apparently a bunch has been spent and reimbursed.
Yep.
Before, and before June 30th, probably.
We'll get you those columns and
I would
hopefully it'll
find
clear it up.
out. Am I missing a question or a hand over here? Sorry. Been looking down at this, because if I look away from it and look back down, my eyes hurt. Gotta stay looking at it, because it's so small. All right. Are we ready to move on to revenue projections? All right, so Ed distributed revenue projections. You want to highlight anything?
Yeah, the only change that I made was to the special revenue fund, which is on the second page. And that amount is $404,431, and that represents the income from the Recreation Department and solid waste, the cost of bags, and funds from United Technologies, reimbursement.
Okay.
So that brings the bottom line total, which is up, I believe, about $400,000 from what I gave you the last time, to $4,522,045.
This is under interfund operating transfers is account number 3912. And I looked at the historic information we had gotten from Mike LeBranch that he had requested, and the average the last 6 years was 425 for that. Just for that line item. 3912, the average was 425,000.
What number are you on, Brian?
Second page,
This specific one is the recreation department's revenue,
correct?
solid waste, like the trash bag fees, tipping fees at the landfill.
Yep.
And then United Technology makes a payment because they contaminate our landfill. Simple. I think, right?
The meals and rooms tax distribution, is that the same as last year, or?
Yes.
'Cause they
Again, I can only tell you what
Yeah,
we
well, I-
know today. I don't know what they'll give us.
Basically, when we were at the local government center, they had a while back, and they passed out this article here, and they said the room and meals taxes this year is dropping from the state's increasing their share from 71 to 74, and the municipal shares going from 29 to 26%. So they're saying we're gonna get 3% less this year than
Okay.
we have been.
They've been good about doing that to us.
Fun?
They've been good about doing that to us. They no longer provide us shared revenues,
Yeah.
so.
I have a question.
Sure.
And on 3502, interest on investments, second item, where do we get investments at exactly $10,000?
That's just an estimate of what we're going to make on, our bank account.
And what's other? 15,450.
I can't address what all the other is. I asked folks for, and I think that this the 15,000 is from what we are currently carrying. Again, the finance generally produced this, and what we did was we looked at what we had for information, tried to pull it together. I was working with the interim finance director today to be able to pull some of these numbers together, especially Brian had asked what special revenue was and capital projects, and we were able to pull those numbers together at this point. One of the things that Matt's going to be working on is to get some better figures historically and going forward to help us in the future.
Matt is the interim finance person.
Correct.
I guess my question is, why isn't he here tonight?
Because he's only been on the job for 4 days, so.
Oh, he's been here that long, he stayed, good. Okay, that's a good thing.
So, I did email it out, so you guys received this. We do have historic information about the revenues, and none of these numbers are out of whack with historically what we received.
Is that the one you sent just the, no, that's not
Sent
the
it a
one.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I have that one, but you sent one just today that 33 pages
This one
long.
here. Yeah.
That was the CIP, and it's gonna
CIP.
get photocopied for you guys tonight.
Okay, it'll be photocopied for us? Yeah, I saw that, 33 pages.
This one.
I am pulling down.
So,
For nobody.
anybody have any questions about the rest of the revenue projections? I'm trying to find the, all right, just, here we go. Go ahead, Drew.
So Ed, in a similar vein, on page 1, 3401 to 3406 is income from departments, 400,000. If we could have a breakdown on what that is,
Sure.
that would be helpful.
Does that mean like ambulance and all that stuff yet? Is that?
Yes.
different than that? That's income from all the departments, okay.
It does seem like a lot. Go ahead, Roseanne.
A question though, if it's something from ambulance and all that, should that be included in here? Because that's something that, that's an enterprise fund on its own, so should that be included in here?
No, ambulance is not an enterprise fund. The only two enterprise funds the town has is water and sewer. What we do is we take $45,000 from the ambulance fees that we receive, and it goes into a revolving fund for the future purchase of additional a new ambulance.
Okay.
So fees-
Everything
fees in
over
excess
that
of
comes back to the general fund.
And where does that show up in the reports? Is that
In
part of that?
income from departments.
Okay, that's where it is.
I just feel the information tonight is ambiguous, like for other. If Mr. Winowski sat and talked with the director today and came up with that number, I would hope that there'd be some recollection as to where things came from. I don't feel as a budget member that I'm getting the answers I need.
Okay, so, first of all, this is the form that we sign, that is signed, so this is the way the state reports it.
Okay, but
We had the same information except for one number for over a month. So, if you wanted to ask the questions, there's been plenty of time to say, I want the detail.
I think we've all been asking for details, and
the
we're
question-
not getting it.
You need to make it clear if you're not getting it, because we've been getting additional information.
Okay.
And then, we've had the 6-year history of these numbers for over a month. And we can play games with them, but what it's supposed to be is an accurate estimate, because all it is an estimate of what's going to come in. And because if you overestimate it, you're going to misrepresent the tax amount to voters. And if you underestimate it, you might do the same thing in the opposite direction, which people might like. But so I think people need to be fair about what they're saying about information requests, because no one's asked for these details until just now. And we've had a lot of this information before tonight.
I have a question.
Dana, go ahead.
When you say estimated revenues, 2 questions. Where does the data come from that goes on the sheet? Something we give to the state, or the state has it from previous?
The state provides us the funds, the data as it relates to, from the state on here on the first page. Those numbers come directly from the state. Generally, all the other areas, like license permits and fees, I ask the town clerk to provide me information. She provides me what she believes are going to be the estimates. Something like land use change tax, in the past, we've always been budgeting at 10,000. I reduced it down to 5,000, because it's just, okay, what are we going to have for something? This year we had a piece of property that came out, so we're going to be getting more than 10,000, but, just looking at what's happening, there's not a lot of sales or project coming forward. Payment in lieu of taxes is, we know that we have 3 organizations that provide us, and we came up with $21,000 as what we believe will be the amount that they'll give us. Interest and penalty on delinquent taxes, again, that's something that comes from the tax office as an estimate, so.
When will we, I know it will be during this process, but at what point do we get, rather than estimates, we get final figures?
When we go to get the tax rate, what we do, these are, as Brian said, these are estimates. We're trying to forecast what we're going to be submitting to the state
I understand all that.
at a later date. And what we're trying to do is, given what we know and how little things are growing, we're trying to be as conservative as possible in providing this information.
Yep, I understand all that.
That's what we're doing.
I'm just trying to figure out when we're going to get something that's actually concrete. I understand this is estimate, and that's good. It gives us a guideline, but when does that word estimate get removed and say final revenues or revenues?
Are you asking for the actuals for the last year? Because this is never going to be what you want
Right.
until next fall, after the audited
That's what I
book.
wanted to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I just said, yeah. Right, after everything's passed, and then the books are reconciled, and then the DRA comes down here and looks at everything and then says, here's your tax rate. This is part of the calculation of the tax rate. Total expenses minus non-property tax revenues, plus the overlay for contestments of assessments, plus the war service credits, which cost us quite a bit of money, $180,000. That's how much money, after all that, has to be raised by taxes. So these are important, and if we feel some of them are way off, like, we should probably look at the meals and rooms distribution if Leo's correct, and if it's going to be lower, but that's not a huge amount of money. It's not like it's off by $100,000. If it's off by 5 or 10,000, okay, not really a big deal.
Okay.
Who knows, we could get more restaurant business because the apartments in the new mills are going to be full of 100 people, and that's a lot more meals being eaten downtown. That's a lot more tax. Could make up for the loss. Roseanne?
A question. The other night at the workshop, Melanson and Heath was here, and he said that they had to reconcile a lot of things within the budget. And they had to take money from 7 to 9 different pots in order to do all that reconciliation. Are any of these items here part and parcel of what had to be taken out? And if so, does this reflect what we had to take out to do the reconciliation that Melanson and Heath, Frank Byron mentioned the other night?
This relates to revenues that we expect to receive.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with anything
And do
that
we have any?
that Byron talked about.
Do we have the information from Mr. Byron yet as to what parts that's going to be taken out of, because it's probably...
To finish doing everything relative to the downtown TIF, we will have Matt come in and we'll make a presentation to the council.
Will that be in time, Brian, for us to have, will we need those numbers from them in order for us to
This sounds like
finish?
that was all, if, I didn't attend the meeting or watch it, but it sounds like it's, like we discussed on the first thing tonight, that the water fund was supposed to be paying for some of the downtown TIF. It was expensed but never transferred out. It's more of an accounting issue, not
It's not going to...
an expenditure issue. That's what it sounds like to me.
All right.
The money's not missing, it just hasn't been put in the right bucket.
Is that the $4 million that they were reporting?
It's
in the
not
paper?
missing, Aaron.
No, we know it's not
I'm
missing.
missing, the article said it was missing.
It's not missing, it's just,
Misplaced.
I know, they're different people. You write the article, they write the headline.
that
But we had
sounds
that a
good.
couple years ago, we were missing $3 million in assets, that's not true, they just weren't
Counted.
specified on a list, so you could say one of them's this much.
So with that thought, that it wasn't in the right bucket, when the fiscal year ended, did those funds go, because they were pulled, did they go into the general fund?
No, there was reserved within those buckets.
They were reserved within those buckets, but yet it was reported, I don't mean stolen, but the monies were,
I can't tell you what was reported. I can tell you that the transfers need to be made, they are being made, and then when that's completed...
they're being made now, but they were at the time, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, because my understanding was there's 53,000 not missing, but wasn't pulled, and the question was, and that was for some money we received from FEMA for something had happened, and it was earmarked through a resolution from the council at the time to go down on Exeter Street. And they couldn't figure out where the money went. Now, the first thing I said was, nobody stole it, don't worry about that. It's just that it's not in the right bucket. But my question still was, did that money, particularly the 53,000, go back into the general fund? Because when I had a conversation with Andrew, he was totally beside himself. He didn't know, where it was. But since then, you may have found it.
It's all reconciled, there'll be a report. Matt will be here to go review everything with the council, and we'll go from there.
Yes.
Estimated revenue.
Sure, Judy.
I'm looking, we've had a lot of paper.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of paperwork, I don't disagree.
And one piece of paper, which it's not dated, the estimated revenue for 2012 was $5,700,000.
And this is the thing that I emailed out from
Yeah.
Mike LaBranche that
Yeah.
Mike got from
Okay.
your office.
So what I'm looking here as an estimated revenue for the coming fiscal year is 4.5. Is that correct? So
That's
that we are looking at a 1.2 reduction in estimated revenue.
And the biggest, I think, is the $1,056,000 from the downtown TIF. So the TIF transferred money,
Right?
and it shows up as revenue,
Okay.
when it's an internal transfer from one fund to another. And it's offset as an expense too, so the total town appropriation's $10,750,000. Yeah, so
What was that one you just mentioned, Brian?
the voters passed a warrant article to create the downtown TIF capital reserve.
Right.
Established downtown...
And they transfer to do that. They used $1,056,000
Yeah.
from the TIF fund.
Okay.
Okay.
So they offset each other. So the revenues look artificially higher when they're really not.
Right, okay.
About 200,000.
Excuse
The
me?
estimated revenue is about $200,000 less than...
Yes.
And
And as we go forward, when we get to the public hearing, we will hopefully have better numbers here, and as we get to the deliberative session, we hope to have additional better revenues, so.
And I
work
think
on
that majority of that difference is in the motor vehicles and
Yes.
permits. And we received a lot of money from building permits because of the project downtown, the mills.
I thought I saw 15,000.
Right. Last year, we received like 100,000. No, Diane mentioned like $90,000 or something really high when she met with us. So I think that's, my presumption is it's lower because we're not gonna get as much from the mill project because they've already paid their fees.
Yeah, 15,000. Building permits.
I'm talking about last year was higher.
last year.
Yeah.
Well, what does this 15,000 represent here?
It's a guesstimate for
Guesstimate.
the year we're working on. Okay, so I think we're ready for the warrant articles. Do you have any information about the warrant articles? So we have a sense of what.
At the present time, the council will be holding a public hearing on Wednesday, the 11th, on 3 bonded warrant articles that, and there are only a total of 5 warrant articles. In addition, one is for the bond for the development of the McIntosh well for $3,370,250. The second is a bond for the installation of a 16-inch water main from the water tower down to Route 108 for a cost of $975,000. And the fourth is a bond to upgrade the wastewater treatment plant.
Third.
And, excuse
We
me?
missed the third one somewhere.
Oh,
First one was McIntosh
well,
well.
the first one,
Oh.
I was just saying, I'm just talking bonded stuff. There's 5
Well, one of them is the article, the operating budget, and one of them is the.
Yeah, and one, the election of
Officials.
officers, and the other one is the operating.
So there's
budget.
3 articles other than the budget.
I'm
and
not
off-
giving you the number of the article,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
okay? And the third article is the wastewater treatment plant for $12,500,000.
Roseanne.
And council, as I said, will hold a public hearing on those on Wednesday, the 11th.
One question on the 16-inch water main from the water tower. That's from the existing water tower
Yes.
that's there, and it's going down 108. Which way down 108 is it going? Towards Newfield?
No, towards the car wash coming into town.
Going down that way? Okay.
There's 2 10-inch mains coming out of the tank. One's going towards Newmarket, and the other one is going basically towards Newfield. So there's 2 10-inch coming out,
There's 2 10-inch that are
coming out of the water.
coming
tank.
out. So we're putting 2 16 inches in to replace
No,
them.
they're
Just one.
talking about just replacing.
One
the
10-inch
one,
and
yeah,
just the one that goes to downtown.
The one that's going towards Newfield, that was put in 83. No, I paid for it.
So,
Okay.
when can the committee get the detailed information it's going to want about these warrant articles?
I
Like
will,
Cost analysis, justification, water rate expense, et cetera.
I will provide that to you. I have that, we gave that to the council last meeting that we had, and I will get copies for you.
I just hit some of the things that came to my head. Is there anything else on those that you all would like? This is your chance to ask. for it.
Basically, I'm still looking for the water fund balance.
Yep, we do need the water fund balance.
Why don't,
I've been looking for 3 years.
why don't we have it yet? How many, I mean,
He explained that they're working with the new interim finance director to do that, and staff. Okay. When's the deadline for petition warrant articles? Is it right around that date? I think it is.
I believe it's the 10th.
January?
Has the council considered any, since we're just talking about warrant articles, like zeroing out some of the funds that the useful life of that fund might not make sense anymore, like the water supply land protection fund / aquifer fund?
We haven't specifically talked about it individually. I've talked with a couple councilors that we can do something. I know with Michael Branch, we've had some conversation that there are some that we can get rid of.
All right, just figured I'd ask. Any other questions at this point from Mr. Winowski? All right, so, do we know if Dr. Hayes still coming? Is he expected at a specific time?
7, I think, is what it was.
Okay, I don't remember if I said a time, so that's fine. So maybe what we can talk about now, before this, we start with the school stuff, is, when do we want to meet next? To talk about the town stuff and make any changes that we want to make, if we want to make them before the public hearing. In some ways, that would help the public understand what our thoughts were, which I think if we can do that, would be a good idea.
So that's going to be a public hearing?
I agree.
Is that what you said? Brian, did you say that would be, another meeting would be a public meeting or a meeting for us to wrap things up on the town side?
A meeting for us to wrap things up on the town side before the public hearing, so that when we are at the public hearing, we're presenting what we propose as the town budget.
When's the public hearing? 17th?
Public hearing,
Public hearing is the 17th.
the budget public hearing is the 17th. The town, our budget hearing with the voters is the January 17th.
7 o'clock.
So, and we're gonna have to meet at least once or twice more on the school stuff as well, folks, so. We don't have any more meetings scheduled, at least that.
Something for the 9th, no?
The 9th, oh, maybe we did put that in the calendar. Yeah, we did.
And that's when you, I believe, asked for our individual recommendations.
I thought it was for tonight.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to do it before that, because the school, I think Jim has the 9th on his calendar. So how about Saturday the 7th? Oops, sorry, Drew.
When?
Saturday morning the 7th? I hate Saturdays, but we gotta get this done.
I work Saturday, so.
I won't be here.
Saturday morning, the 7th?
Or next Thursday the 5th? I mean, tell me what your preference is.
Well, I have a school board meeting on,
Okay, that doesn't work.
3rd?
How about Tuesday the 3rd for an hour, just to do the town stuff? I think we can do it in an hour. If people come and say, here's what I want to do, and debate it for, you debate the point, and then the debate's over, and then you vote.
Tuesday, January 3rd. So we're doing,
We're not,
Party on the 31st, I don't think I'll be home.
so,
I think
Tuesday the 3rd work?
Third is fine with me. yeah.
what time?
Would you like it ahead of time?
No. I just did mine because I had time last night, and I was thinking about it.
Can we,
If you have a chance, it wouldn't hurt.
No, I mean, would you like the input ahead of time?
No, I don't want to be the collator of input.
Okay.
Not over the next 4 days.
7 o'clock?
So,
So Tuesday, January 3rd, at what time, Brian?
7 o'clock to hopefully 8 or 8:30 at the latest.
7,
And
okay.
January 9th will be what time?
Right now, we have it at 7 PM.
7.
We can talk with the school staff and see what time they want to start, since we'll be.
And what was the 17th for?
That's the public
It's a
hearing?
public hearing.
Okay, somebody asked me out there,
Then the
that's
last
why.
day for petitioned articles is January 10th.
That sounds right.
Now, we have a Saturday meeting, oh no, that's Monday.
No, we don't, no one could do the Saturdays, or a
Monday
couple
the
people
9th.
couldn't.
At 7.
Petitioned,
Is the 10th at 5 PM.
correct.
Okay, so,
So
because
we
we had
need-
some confusion at the last meeting when we changed this one to 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
everybody was here when we did that, because we said, we're gonna start at 6 so we can get the town stuff done by 6:30 or 7, so the school can start.
Good.
So, we're meeting next Tuesday, the 3rd, at 7 o'clock. We're just doing the town, and our goal is to finalize a budget number that we will present to the voters at the public hearing on the 17th. We have a meeting on the 9th with the school. We will need at least one other meeting with the school, is my guess. So we should just know that, because it's going to be sometime between the 9th and the 17th. Okay,
But not the 5th and the 7th.
at this point, no.
Okay.
well, no, I think
Who knows?
what time is the school?
it's actually 7.
It's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
It is? Okay. For
3rd.
some reason, I had 6:30 written down, but who knows?
I think we'll probably change it after we talk to Joan and Dr. Hayes, so. Okay, thank you, Ed.
Thank you. Have a great New Year.
So do you think you could start the copying process, and
Yes, I
then
can hear that.
that way they can get it and not have to come back here and all that stuff?